Welcome to the annual or biannual, semi-annual, uh, Carroll Starr Endowment Challenge. We are lucky that we get to run the cycle again. It's kind of something that when we have the funding for it, we offer it. And so we're excited that we can do it for the 11th time this year. So the presentation today just is to explain a little bit more about what the challenge is, how it works, and then Lisa will talk a little bit about the actual application process and walking through the web portal. And before we dig in, I'm Sarah Lambert. I'm the Vice President of Programs at the Community Foundation, so I oversee all of our charitable distributions. And so I'm going to talk kind of about the background and the theory behind this program, and then Lisa DeLang is going to talk about the actual structure of the application. As you can see, we're a super small group, so feel free to just jump in, ask any questions you might have. You can also use the chat. James Patterson will be monitoring that. So yeah, feel free to ask us whatever. So first off, who is Carroll H. Starr? He was the partial owner of Rockford's first Ford motor car dealership, a banker, and a manager of a local investment firm. He was a huge advocate for families and served on the Family Welfare Service Board for 30 years. He was the head of the World War II United War Fund, the balance of which actually launched the Rockford Community Trust, which was the first name of our foundation. So he was a founding member of our board and really is to thank for the existence of the Community Foundation. He was actually one of the 9 founding members of the National Committee on Community Foundation. So he believed in community foundations deeply and across, professionally, not just as a charitable activity. He was the founder and first permanent chairman of the trust and until his death in 1963. So all of this is done in his honor and his belief in the importance and the power of endowment. So here you can see a quote from actually one of our minutes of one of the first foundation committee meetings. But he visualized the trust as a dynamic working organization, both in the handling of funds and in their allocation to civic betterment projects. The others agreed, so the original board agreed that it would be possible to have a progressive investment policy and at the same time provide proper safeguards. So that really shows our philosophy in general, that we want to be aggressive in our investment while being responsible in our investments. So we want to make sure that we are putting your money to work as much as possible, both in terms of the earnings and in terms of actual community activities. So how does this work? So with the Carroll Starr program, you're establishing an agency endowment with the Community Foundation. So those are funds that come directly from your organization to us. So the principal of those endowed funds are invested. And we commingle all of our funds for investment purposes and invest them for long-term growth. So our assets are sitting right around $130 million right now. And by commingling all of them, to provide better returns and better fees. And so it's a benefit to have them all housed together. And then we make distributions according to our spending policy. So our current spending policy is 4% of the 12-quarter rolling average. And that number is chosen very carefully to create that balance between community investment and prudent financial investment. We want to put as much money out into the community as we can while still leaving room to grow the funds over time. So what is an agency? It's established by a nonprofit agency such as yourselves, and then we make distributions to the agency while preserving and growing the principal. They are irrevocable transfers. So the fund stay at CFNIL and cannot be, the only access you can have is that 4% annually. But the key here is that the agency endowments remain an asset on your balance sheet. So that's a real advantage by having the funds flow through you to us. And that's the key, is that all funds donated or given to an agency endowment must come from the agency. They cannot come from external donors. So you need to gather the money and then give it to us rather than having it come straight to us. We actually have a separate fund type that we would set up for those cases that isn't part of the matching challenge. So why should you do this? Agency endowments support your long-term planning. It's money that you can know you can count on, and you can budget for, restricted unless you restrict it yourself. So you can use it to pay for toilet paper if you need to. That's cool. Because we understand that those are the things that are hard to get covered. So agency endowments are great for that. It's a surplus that will last a lifetime. It's permanent endowment. It will be here forever. And it is a really great way to inspire donors, particularly through bequests and estate gifts. It's something when people are thinking about bequests and their what happens after their estate after their death, they often are thinking long term. So an estate gift to an endowment is a natural kind of progression. So we've been running this challenge since 2001, and have distributed more than $1 million. And those funds are collectively worth more than $4.5 million. So they've been growing. Here's a list of, I think it's all of the folks who have participated. And there are groups who have participated in the multiple times, but it gives you an idea of the breadth of participation across different sectors, across different areas, our full community. Okay, so the challenge, what does it look like? It's competitive process is the key, is that this is not just a given. We only have a certain amount of money that we're going to be that we're able to contribute to it. So it's an opportunity to build your endowment with the help of CFNIL. So you set your own fundraising goal. It's between 15,000 and 150,000, which you have 19 months to complete. So it will start on June 1st, 2024 and end on December 31st, 2025. So you need to choose a number that's realistic for you to achieve within that time frame. And if you're selected and you reach your goal, we'll match $1 for every $3 raised. So here's an example of what that might look like. If your fundraising goal is 15,000, then we will match 5,000 and your total endowment will be 20,000, versus if you're going back to the 150,000, the full 150,000 will contribute 50,000, and then you have a $200,000 endowment. And you can see those in accordance with our current spending policy, that $20,000 endowment, that will distribute $800 a year, which isn't game changing, but it's also consistent, steady, and reliable, and just the starting point. But that $200,000, that leads to an $8,000 annual distribution, and you don't have to stop there. You can continue to fundraise for this endowment as long as your organization exists. And that number is calculated on March 31st of every year. We call it the available to grant number, the ATG. So you get that information in the late spring to tell you just how much money you can anticipate. So your job is being part of the challenge is to raise funds to meet the goal. You acknowledge the donations. So you receive the donations, you acknowledge the donations. The donations are a gift to your organization, not to the community foundation. You accumulate all the money and then transfer the funds to us. And you can do it little blitz and blops. You can do it one big transfer all at once. You can do whatever makes sense for you. So on the community foundation side, we provide check-ins, we answer any questions, and are happy to come and speak to your donors, your board, any organization that might or who might be interested in it. And we start accounting and administering the actual endowment itself. Once you meet your match or meet your goal, then we'll deposit that match into the endowment, and then we continue to invest and administer the fund going forward. So at that point, it becomes just a standard agency fund within the community foundation. So once that endowment is established, you'll be getting quarterly financial statements, an annual distribution letter, that ATG letter that tells you how much money you can anticipate. And you can also access our fund advisor portal, so you can access all your information through there. You also have the option to receive your annual distributions, or you can roll them back into the fund balance. So you can grow the endowment if you don't need those funds right away. If you want to save it for a rainy day or a specific purpose, you can do that. So past applicants can apply, sorry, I just got back from vacation this morning, and we just want to reinforce that past applicants and recipients can reapply. But we will be providing new applicants and organizations that haven't participated in past challenges. They will be given preference. We want to make sure that this is open to everyone. So, okay. All right, so the application itself, what does it include? It is nothing like, or not nearly to the extent of our traditional community grants application, which I think most of you are familiar with. It's much more streamlined. So it's, we give you the amount of time that you have to complete it, more to make sure that your board and all of your constituents and stakeholders are on board with the process, rather than actually writing the application itself. So all you're providing is organizational information. What do you do? How do you do it? Your finances, your service population. So who are you supporting? The status of your current endowments, and what strategy and vision you have for this new endowment. So if you, how are you going to use this, and why are you, how is your organization behind it? And then there's a challenge agreement. So you acknowledge that you understand what the job, or what you're agreeing to. One of the biggest pieces, or one of the more important pieces of this application, is that endowment vision. So how are you going to get and what are you going to do with them? So we actually do ask that you provide estimates of where where the money is coming from, whether it's a revenue, unanticipated bequest, a new fundraising campaign, surplus, donations from your board of directors, other sources, etc. There's no one of these sources is better than the other. We just want to have a good idea of where these dollars are coming from, and that you have a plan to receive them. The most successful applications and the most successful fundraisers plan, not just the, hey, we're going to do this. We want you to come in with your eyes wide open, understanding what it's going to entail. So the committee does make the selection for this. It's with all of our programs, or all of our grant making, staff does not make the final decision. We're here to help. We're not here to decide who gets the dollars. So the things that the committees are going to be looking for are, again, the strength of your organization financially, your population, is it here within our service area, that vision, and then priority will be given to new applicants. So one thing we do want everyone to understand, that we think endowment is awesome. We think everyone should, every organization should have an endowment, but it is something that is not something that you should achieve, or your organization isn't already in a stable financial position. If you're still, living day to day in terms of whether or not you're able to keep your offices running, endowment might not be the best choice for your organization at this point in your life cycle, but it definitely will be in the future. So do keep that in mind, that you need to go in with a plan and an idea of how you're going to achieve these, how you're going to get these dollars. So, all right, any questions about any of that? Nope. All right, then I am going to hand it over to Lisa, and she'll talk about the actual technical presentation.
Hi, I'm Lisa DeLange. I'm the Program and Administrative Associate here. If you have any questions or any issues when you get into your application, please give me a call. I'm here to help you, and I'm always happy to do it. So you can see from this very busy page with all of the arrows that we want you to know that there are so many places to go for information about our grants. All of these arrows have resources, have information about the grants. You could get news, which sometimes has when our new cycles are opening and stuff like that. And this isn't just specific to Carroll Starr. Actually, let's see what William has a question on here.
The question that I had, so say you put in the initial amount to start the endowment. how often are you able to put in more money into the endowment to grow the endowment?
You mean over time or within the challenge period?
Over time?
At any time. Well, you can send it anytime you want. You can even make a contribution through your fund portal or through our website, so you don't have to even send us a check. So we'll accept it anytime you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess I'm sorry, it's Claudia. The follow-up to that then I'm thinking is, so each time you deposit, you guys do the match for every 3 then, or is that only like a specific amount? Like
We do. No, it's only up to your goal amount. So you can you can set your goal for up to $150,000, and then we will match that $1 for every 3 raised, so that $50,000 within that for what is received by us from you in that time frame by December 31st, 2025. After that, challenge is over. There's no more matching. You can always apply again for another cycle, but it's just within that 19-month window.
What takes place if you don't meet your goal?
I mean, technically, you don't get the match, but I can say in practice, that is not typically what happens. Depending on our fund availability, we typically will match 3 to 1 for whatever you have raised.
Thank you.
Amy?
If an agency has an endowment with community foundation, how is that viewed, or is that looked at when traditional grant applications are done?
You mean like our community grants program?
Correct.
No relationship whatsoever. Organizations that have an agency fund with us do not get any sort of priority or consideration. That's not information that's shared with the committee.
And it's not looked at as a detriment either, in that, well, you have money, why do you need a grant?
No.
They don't even know about it.
No, they don't know.
Committees are not given that information at all.
Yeah. Especially if you're applying for under 50,000, you're not even providing financials where an organization, where our committee could see that. The only time you're going to see that question is if we're talking millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, which very few organizations in our community are in that position. So,
thank you.
Okay. The purpose of this slide is just to let you know there are a lot of resources for our grant seekers. Please, even if you've been a past applicant with us, check out these resources. There's always new stuff in there, might be stuff you don't know. And there are several places to go to apply. And it looks like we do have one more little question here. Do we have to, oh, it disappeared on me. Do you have to designate in our vision where the endowment will be used? And if we say we will use it for one thing, but need to use it elsewhere, is that an issue?
not really. You don't need to necessarily say that you're going to use it for a specific purpose. It can be just to continue your operations, continue providing services, create a cushion. The only time where it would become an issue is if when we actually create the contract for the agency funds, which is not exactly separate from this process, but it's different than the application, like the actual technical contract that your board chair will sign to establish the fund. If you do say in there that it has to serve a specific purpose, then you are contractually obligated to achieve that purpose. We wouldn't recommend doing that unless there's a very specific reason to do that, because these are really meant to be your dollars as an organization, use however you see fit. If you do want to create an endowment for a specific purpose, we can absolutely do that. But as far as the application itself I wouldn't worry about that. Does that answer the question?
Yep, like
cool.
it. All right. I think the easiest way to get to the apply, your portal, is through this apply for a grant, but there are several ways to get to it. So if you're looking for it, you'll be able to find it. I think we're ready to move on to the next slide here. All right. So if you were to go to receive in our little tab up here, and then grants, you would be able to get to this Carroll H. Starr Endowment Challenge page. This just is going to give you information on the rules and really anything you want to know. These are last year's dates, but it'll give you the information about when it opens, when it closes, when everything is announced, and you can apply from here, or you can go up to the corner up here where it says apply for a grant. Okay, let's go on. This will be, once you click that apply button, this will be your portal landing page. I have a couple of things to note is this big red circle, please pay attention to this information. We really need you to reach out to us if you already have an account with us. If you don't do that and you create another account, it will create a duplicative account of what you have. And that just causes issues for us internally here, and you won't have access to your history or anything like that. So we want you to have all that information. So if you don't know if you have an account, please just give me a call or an email. If you know you have an account, you should have a login. If you have any issues getting in, give me a call or send me an email, and I can reset your password if you have an issue with that. The email address is case sensitive. And I always encourage everybody in all of our grant cycles to apply early so that if you run into an issue, you don't run out of time or you're not super stressed about getting something done. Just go ahead and get started now, even if you don't plan on completing it right away, so that we can help if you run into an issue. All right, once you log in here, if you have not had an account with us before, and if you haven't had an account with us in the past couple of years, some people might have had an account in our old system a long time ago. This system, I think, is 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. So if you haven't applied with us in the past 3 years, you're going to have to start a new account. It's important to get this information right. Once you click next and you complete this portion, you will not be able to change this initial organizational information. You'll have to give me a call and we'll have to change it on our end over here. So just make sure you get that right. All right, and I think we covered most of this. One thing I did forget on there is that you do want to begin with one user from your organization, and then we can add people to your organization, or you can add them through our collaborator tool, which we'll talk about it in a little bit. All right, so when you get in here, and this is going to be your dashboard. This is going to be the primary contact for who's applying to the grant. And on your dashboard here, you could see that you can see your requests that you have right now. So maybe you're applying for our In Youth We Trust adult cycle, which is open right now. And you're going to apply for Carroll Starr. So you will be able to see all of that information here. You'll also be able to see your historical requests that you have made. And up at the top near that apply button, you'll be able to see your organization history. So what the organization has applied for before. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so in this big circle, this is just there to show you how we have a few different videos that you could watch and some tools. We have a video on our collaborator. We have a video on how to apply for funding, how to use this system. We have a lot of information. Please don't hesitate to use it. Click on everything. And then if you still have questions, give me a call. You are able to preview the application. If you don't want to get it started yet, or you don't want to really enter anything that's going to save yet, you can preview it down there. Anything you enter in there will not save. The application, once you start it, will auto-save. The save button is there, but it doesn't do anything except for alert you to fields that are not complete. It's there really for your peace of mind. If we found that when we did not have a save button, it really made people very, very, very nervous. So we would get calls all the time saying, I don't want to close out, or I think I lost all my information. The save button's a lie, but it is there to make you feel better. Push it as much as you want if you want to. All right, and then let's see here. You do want to begin the application in the account of the primary user. So that is going to be the person that if we have questions, we reach out to. It'll be the main person who is making the application. You do have the ability to have other people collaborate with you, but whoever is going to be our contact is who needs to start the application. And then you can add other people in. And I think we got everything else there. Yep, we got everything there. Here are a couple of the features that you just should know about. There's a copy previous answer tab. If you click that, it will import any of the answers from similar applications, and you'll be able to check which ones you want it to import. So it could just save you time on entering a bunch of little things about your organization history. And again, like I said, you could choose what you import, and then you can edit those fields once they're in there. So if you want to reword something, you have the ability to do that. We have our collaboration feature, and it is a really, really useful feature if you're working with other people. You can give your accountant access to help you on the application, and you can assign them different privileges. They can have privileges just to view it, they can have privileges to edit, or they can have privileges to submit it as well. So you get to control that information. So that would be something that would use if you want to work on this application with somebody. We do want to let you know that if you are working in the system at the same time as somebody else, they will not save, it won't save all of your information. You really should work in the system at 2 different times to prevent your information from being overwritten by the other person who's in there. You can view all of our questions. Again, like if you're not ready to get started, you could just click the question list and you'll see all the questions that you're going to have to answer in the application. It'll all be right there, just so if you want to take a quick look at it and know, you know, what you're in for, you could do that. Okay, I think we got all that. And that's the end of my part. Again, if you have any questions, please just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Don't be intimidated by the process. We're here to answer your questions.
All right, and so then just to reiterate our timeline, the application is currently open, and it closes April 15th. April 14th would have been cleaner, but that's a Sunday, so April 15th. And in May, our committee will review the applications and make their final recommendations to our board, and you'll be notified in late May. So then on June 1st, the challenge begins. You'll have until December 31st, 2025 to complete your fundraising, and you can send dollars to us at any point during that, and we will match. If you achieve your goal, we'll match that at the end of that period, 3-to-1 again. There will be a fund agreement for those who are selected to choose or just say that you understand all the terms and everything, and but it's really just like 1-page piece of paper. So sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is in my office and she really doesn't want to be. So apologies if you're hearing like crying in the background, but any final questions?
I apologize. I'm not sure if James said this at the beginning. Is there a specific number of applicants who are going to be approved this year or with this cycle, or is there a dollar amount that is being looked at?
It's $1. It's based on the dollar amount, because some people may ask for 15, some may ask for 150. It'll depend on the application or the applicant pool. So we are still finalizing what that number will be. But typically we usually have somewhere between like 4 and 6 people or organizations participating every year. Yeah. And I wouldn't say shooting low is necessarily going to be an advantage. Yeah. So if you think you can hit that 150 mark, go for it.
And I did ask in the question or in the chat, but I just want to double check that I hear this correctly, that we can use cash reserves for the amount that we have to raise.
Yep. Yeah, we basically don't police where the money is coming from. You know, our goal is really to support our organizations that work with us along their endowment journey. So we want to, if you've got an opportunity where the money is all coming in, awesome. Like we are totally happy to support that. So yeah, wherever it is, that's fine. Right. So here's a photo of this year's Carroll Starr applicant recipients. These are all the folks who achieved their goal in our last cycle, and we celebrated at our open house last month. Actually, no, like 2 weeks ago.
This month, yes.
I was like, February is the shortest month, but it sure is long for the foundation. So, but just give you an idea of the different types of organizations that have participated. We have RAMP, we have NCME, the Lincoln out of Freeport, and Peterson Meadows, which is part of Wesley Willows. So we supported a huge variety of organizations with a huge variety of purposes. So, and they're all going to be able to support their clients and their missions in perpetuity now. All right. So as we said, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. If you have technical questions dealing with the portal and the application, Lisa's your person. If you have questions about the process, the grant administration, the the agency fund stuff, anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And James is always happy to help with whatever anybody needs. So.